Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome back to ZF Today's opening. I hope you had a peaceful Christmas and a productive year. Today's discussion consists of a retrospective recap of 2022 and of course expectation for 2024. For this we have with us Ivan Kurtovic, CEO of InterCapital Asset Management, Croatia's largest independent investment manager, with 420 million euros asset under management, if I'm not mistaken. Ivan, good morning.
Good morning. Hi, Tibi.
I'm glad to meet again in this format. For starters, please tell me how you would describe this year. What were the events that marked 2023. How was it for investments?
Well, I would say that 2023 was really everything except like ordinary year. Initially, we started maybe a bit more concerned because 2022 brought us significant inflation, but also interest rate rise that we actually didn't see on a such scale for like decades. Somehow we were all maybe more hopeful, or we were more cautious that 2023 will bring additional inflation, though we expected it to slow down a bit, but also somehow we expected that economy will slow down significantly more. At the end, what turned out to be the outcome, economy was much more resilient. Consumer were spending. Actually, corporate profits were quite good, especially now looking globally, US in particular. And at the end, the 2023 was really one, I would say, exceptional year with returns that, especially on the equity side, that were quite remarkable, I would say, across the board.
Yeah, at the Bucharest Stock Exchange, we have a yield of 31% for the main index and almost 40% with dividends. How has the Zagreb Stock Exchange been performing this year?
So Zagreb was around the similar numbers. So Zagreb was exactly 32-33% so far this year. Also one exceptional year. Dividend yields are obviously much lower in Croatia versus Romania, but still I would say that it was one of the best performing market globally. And I would say that in general, south and eastern part of Europe, Greece in particular, performed exceptionally. So Greece was second best performing market so far this year.
If we talk about expectation for next year, what do you expect? What are the scenarios InterCapital is working with for 2024?
So every year we launched our own outlook. We presented it even publicly. You can find it on our webpage, but also on our social media with three main scenarios. One is core, where we expect basically global growth to slow down, but still to be on a positive note. We expect inflation to continue going down and basically to settle in the area of 2 to 3%. And this is basically our core scenario. We expect some slowdown also when it comes to corporate earnings. So basically something that we expected for 2023, but at the end, happily didn't materialize. And we expect, bond yields to be somehow stable around, the current levels, so plus minus around these levels. Obviously, we have two other scenarios. One a bit more optimistic, where we expect that basically productivity growth will really be significantly high, mainly because of technology improvement that we are seeing across the globe. But we just gave 10% to that scenario, and basically 30% we apply to scenario that we're going to see a bit harder slowdown, mainly because the central banks will keep the interest rates a bit longer for higher, or a bit higher for longer, and that will result with some possible slowdown going forward.
So 2024 is going to be the year of bonds. I heard this lately. How should investors allocate their capital?
This is also what we presented in our outlook, and basically we call it like tactical allocation for 2024. It is to be a bit more oriented towards fixed income, even a bit longer maturity fixed income. So we applied 60% for that portion. We applied 8% for cash, 2% for commodities, and roughly 30% for equities. But yes, we do hope that basically 2024 should be more year of yields, or more year of fixed income.
What bonds we prefer?
So we prefer government bonds. We prefer a bit longer duration. So I would say, around 5, but even maybe a bit higher duration if investors are willing to accept a bit higher volatility risks. And we prefer more to be in a core part of the portfolio. Of the countries.
Yeah. Now let's talk about InterCapital's activity and future plans, and I propose to take them one by one. How was this year for fund manager? How was it for you?
I would say that this year really, as I said, started. We all started more on a cautious note. At the end, I would say this was really one additional sound year, especially after 2022, that really shaped out, I would say, quite decently, the industry as such. But we are really happy with what we have achieved. We focused, of course, first on the existing client base and activities when it comes to that client base. So all of our funds really delivered quite decent result, especially on the equity front, but also with the fixed income. We are quite happy what we have achieved. We launched some new products. In particular, we launched commodity fund, but we also launched Romanian ETF, and we launched recently money market, Euro money market ETF. So products that we believe that are very, very relevant for existing economy cycle. And also we developed or we redeveloped a new version of our digital apps, because in our view and our strategy, digital is basically how consumers at the end will consume financial products in the future.
Which funds were most sought after by investors, and how were received the new products?
I would say that initially, so early in the year, majority of the investment went into those most conservative strategies, so money market, short-term fixed income funds, and to a certain extent, multi-assets or balance funds, because as I said, both we but also clients were somehow more cautious when it comes to 2023. Lately, I would say since spring, decent inflows into equity funds. In particular, we have a global technology fund. We have also South and Eastern European fund that performed also very, very nicely. So global technology is 40% plus. Our South and Eastern European equity fund, it's 20% plus. Of course, on the sound footage from both Romania, Greece, but also Slovenia and Croatia as well.
Yeah, I know you are about to launch your ETF with Romanian equities in Romania. That was a success in your country. What is the status? What's next?
So we are very, very close, basically, to be officially in Romania. We are now setting the latest stage, I would say, of the paperwork that we need to done. I would say really exceptional work from the whole team in order to get all the approvals, but also to help all the stakeholders included in this approval, to get their licenses, including stock exchange, Depozitarul, Central, and some other parties related to that. And if everything will be okay, we really hope that early in February, even potentially late in January, we might be on the market officially listed in Romania. So as I said, we are finalizing the last part of basically this masterpiece, if I can call it like that.
So last of January.
Yeah, hopefully either end of January or early February next year.
Okay, how do you think Romanians will receive the Croatian ETF? We have already seen some reaction. We have also seen a decision to lower the fees from the Romanian ETF. We have right now, I don't know if it's a reaction to your entry on the Romanian market. What are the expectations?
I would like to repeat what I'm always saying is I think that the overall market is really quite small. We are really here. I mean, this is what we do in Croatia, but also in Slovenia, trying to develop the market. Why? Because even, I mean, in case of Romania, even with listing of hydro, liquidity might potentially be an issue, for emerging market status. So we really want to attract new investors. We really want to attract, new institutional investors that would be willing to invest through our funds or our fund in particular to Romanian market. And at the end, our goal is, for the whole market to be developed further. Having said that, for instance, we are observing one ratio in Croatia, in Slovenia, but also Western Europe. So ETFs and their turnover versus overall turnover of the stock exchange. So in Romania, so far, it is well below 1%. In Croatia, with listing of our 4 ETFs, it's basically close to 5%. In States, it is well above 30%, so 33, 34, 35%. So I would say, one ETF is just, the start, and we hope to bring some more. And at the end, the aim is for the whole stock exchange to grow with this ETF. And at the end, I think, competing products are good because they, at the end, bring just the value to the investors.
Yeah. What other plans do you have? How are you preparing for 2024?
We have actually two. I mean, now in a pipeline, we plan to launch 2 additional ETFs as well. Hopefully, I mean, depending on the regulatory approvals, but also internal resources, because we are developing a lot actually, on some other fronts, this digital front as well. But actually, we would like to launch a fixed income ETF, and we would like to launch a European equity ETF. So those 2 products are something that we are planning to launch, and we plan, depending of course how it will evolve in both Croatia, Slovenia, and Romania, potentially to list it as well in Romania down the road. But we believe that this fixed income is actually at the moment somehow place to be. People, especially in the region, they are somehow a bit more conservative versus, I don't know, US people or even like in Europe. And, these yielding instruments might work somehow better, maybe, to attract, the broader population towards financial markets. But of course, it needs to be on a strong footage with quite decent fees. But also, good proposal. So maybe more oriented towards, government bonds, because government bonds still are perceived, the safest asset.
So you'll bring them on the Bucharest Stock Exchange too?
Well, let's see. We plan to list it here in Croatia, and then how it depends on how our first ETF, so Romanian ETF, will develop in Romania. We might cross-list them, those 2 ETFs as well, down the road over 2024.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting to take position on foreign equities through an ETF in Romania. Ivan, thank you so much for coming and for the discussion. At the end of the show, I'll ask you to point out a few things investors should pay attention in the first months of 2024?
What I'm always saying, I think one of the biggest traps, for the investors is to try to predict based on, the current performance of the market, how the next year should be. So this year was exceptional. So maybe, just be more cautious to entering, 2024. Usually, first few weeks can be really super positive because allocation are starting. And then, there is always good demand for the market. But I would assume that, we're going to see a volatile year, but still with good and proper allocation. I think, the year can be, again, quite good and sound for the investors.
Thank you, Ivan. Keep up the good work, and we are waiting for more news.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. This was today's opening edition. Today's guest was Ivan Kurtovic, CEO of InterCapital Asset Management. Thank you for your attention and Happy New Year.
Știu ce spun.
S-a încheiat întâlnirea ministrilor de interne ai Uniunii Europene.
Te pune undeva pe hartă sau nu te așează nicăieri. Nimeni nu vine să discute cu noi.
Știu ce te interesează.
Cât a costat excursia lui Iohannis?
Nu am văzut că am avut ochii închiși tot timpul ăsta. Ce contează că se termină mandatul lui Claus Iohannis?
Dacă când l-ai votat acum 4 ani, ai votat cu ochii închiși sau ce ai făcut?
Știu cum să te fac curios.
Prezentatoarea BBC i-a arătat degetul mijlociu lui Boris Johnson, a cărui știre urma să o prezinte.
Ce faci cu degetele alea? Ne gândim în octeți, în digiți, lumea să te...
Știu cum să te emoționezi.
Poți folosi inteligența artificială ca să creezi un avatar cu care alții pot vorbi după moartea ta.
Un proces prin care poți să-ți iei la revedere.
Știu să conving.
Taylor Swift a fost numită persoana anului de revista Time.
Se uită pe zone greșite. Anul 2023 n-a oferit nimic altceva decât pe cineva care a ținut un concert de 3 ore.
Știu să câștig.
Am pierdut.
Știu, deci știi.